Wake up! Something is wrong. The floor beneath you is moving. Wood groans in the darkness. A rope swings beside your face. Somewhere nearby, a man coughs, another curses, and above all of it comes the slow creak of a ship rolling through open water. You are not in a house. You are inside a wooden warship in the late 1700s, far from land, surrounded by hundreds of men who may not see home again for months. And the first thing you notice is the space. There is almost none. Your hammock hangs among rows of others, packed tightly across the gun deck. Men sleep only inches apart. Beneath them sit heavy iron cannons secured against the sides of the ship. The same place where you sleep can become a battlefield. If an enemy appears today, everything around you will have to disappear fast. A call echoes through the deck. Men climb from their hammocks. You roll yours up with the others. Space aboard a warship is too valuable to waste. When the ship needs the deck, your bedroom simply stops existing. Within minutes, hammocks vanish, men move, ropes tighten, buckets appear. The cannons remain. You duck beneath heavy beams as you move forward. Timber surrounds you in every direction, planks below, beams above, wooden walls beside you. You are living inside a machine made almost entirely from material that can burn, and your job is to keep that machine alive. You climb toward the upper deck. Cold air hits your face. Above you, the ship suddenly feels enormous. Masts tower overhead. Canvas sails pull against the wind. Hundreds of ropes run between spars, blocks, and railings. But nothing works automatically. There is no engine. The ship moves because wind fills the sails, and sailors force everything else to happen. Lines are hauled, sails are adjusted, decks are cleaned, pumps are worked, rigging is repaired. Every major task depends on human hands, your hands. From the outside, a warship can look majestic. From the inside, it is work. The deck is your workplace. The gun deck is your bedroom. The ocean is your prison wall. And below your feet is another world. You descend again. The deeper you go, the less romantic it becomes. Fresh air weakens. The smell grows stronger. Wet timber, tar, sweat, smoke, old food, bilge water. Somewhere below, hundreds of bodies living inside a closed wooden hull. There are no private rooms for ordinary sailors, no showers, and almost nowhere to escape. Even eating is basic. Meals depend on what can survive a long voyage. Salted meat, dried peas, cheese when available, and ship's biscuit, a hard bread made to last far longer than fresh bread ever could. At the start of a voyage, supplies may seem acceptable. Weeks later, fresh food is gone. Water stored in wooden casks can become unpleasant. Biscuits may become infested. Salt meat begins to taste like every other meal you have eaten for days. But hunger is only one danger. Disease can cripple a crew before a single cannon is fired. Men sleep close together. Clothing stays damp. Ventilation below deck is poor. Wounds become dangerous. Illness can move through a crowded ship with frightening speed. And if you become seriously sick, the medical world below is primitive. You continue downward. Here the ship feels less like a vessel and more like a dark wooden tunnel. Barrels are stacked wherever space allows. Food, water, rope, tools, and spare equipment. Everything needed to keep hundreds of men alive without returning to port. That is what makes this ship more than a weapon. It is a moving town, warehouse, barracks, workshop, hospital, and, when necessary, fortress. Then you reach one of the most dangerous places aboard, the powder magazine. Gunpowder is stored deep inside the ship and handled with extreme care. A spark here could destroy everyone. During battle, powder must move from this protected space upward toward the guns. That means men have to carry ammunition through cramped decks, while enemy cannon fire may be smashing into the hull around them. Above you, guns fire. The ship shakes, and someone still has to carry the powder. Then a shout comes from above. Another follows. Men suddenly move faster. Something has been sighted. The mood changes instantly. This morning, this ship was your home. Now it begins turning into a weapon. Orders travel through the decks. Gun crews take position. Equipment is cleared, water, powder, and shot are brought forward. Every sailor has a role. There is no room for confusion. You return to the gun deck. The cannons that sat silently beside your hammock now dominate the entire space. Gun ports open. Daylight cuts through the darkness. Outside is the sea. And somewhere beyond it is another ship carrying men doing almost exactly what you are doing now. The crew prepares the gun. This is not one man lighting a fuse. A naval cannon requires coordinated work. It must be loaded. The carriage must be controlled. The barrel must be aimed as well as the rolling ship allows. Ropes and tackles help manage the weapon. Because when a heavy cannon fires inside a wooden deck, it does not stay politely in place. It recoils, hard. Anything standing in the wrong position can be crushed. Your crew waits. The ship rolls. The target appears through the gun port. Then comes the command, fire. For a fraction of a second, the world becomes light and noise. The cannon erupts. Smoke blasts backward. The carriage jumps into recoil. The deck shakes beneath your feet. Your ears ring. And before you fully understand what happened, the crew is already moving again. One shot is not enough. The cannon must be prepared again. Soon, smoke fills the deck. Visibility collapses. Men become silhouettes. Orders are shouted through the noise. You taste powder in the air. From a distance, a naval battle can look organized. Inside the gun deck, it is heat, smoke, iron, rope, and men working within inches of weapons powerful enough to destroy the room around them. Then something strikes the ship. A cannonball tears through timber farther down the deck, and suddenly the wooden hull itself becomes a weapon. Splinters explode inward. A cannonball does not need to hit a sailor directly to kill him. The ship around you can become shrapnel. Men scream. Others keep working because the enemy has not stopped firing. Damage happens quickly. A sailor is injured, rigging is cut, a gun becomes useless, and a hole appears where solid timber existed seconds earlier. But the ship still has to fight. The wounded are carried below when possible. Deeper inside, the surgeon and his assistants work in conditions that would horrify a modern hospital. There is little space, limited light, limited medicine, no modern anesthesia, and no modern understanding of infection. A shattered limb may leave very few options. And while the surgeon works, cannon fire continues overhead. Imagine lying in darkness while every broadside shakes the ceiling above you. You hear men running. You hear impacts against the hull. You know the battle is still happening. But you cannot see it. For some sailors, this is the last place aboard they will ever know. For you, the fight is not over. You return upward. Smoke still hangs across the gun deck. Your throat burns. The floor is wet. Equipment has shifted. The beautiful symmetry of the ship is gone. Now it looks damaged, used, alive. And yet the crew keeps working. That is why discipline is so severe. Inside a ship like this, one careless mistake can endanger everyone. A badly handled sail can endanger the vessel. A neglected pump can allow water to rise. A careless flame can start a fire. A mistake at the guns can injure your own crew. Everything is connected. Hundreds of men live almost on top of one another. But the ship works only because each person occupies a tiny place inside a much larger system. Sailors handle the rigging above. Gun crews fight below. Carpenters repair damage. Men carry powder, work the pumps, and treat the wounded. Remove enough pieces and the entire machine begins to fail. Eventually, the firing slows, then stops. For the first time in what feels like hours, you can hear individual sounds again. Water against the hull. Rope moving overhead. Men coughing through powder smoke. Someone groaning below. But the end of the shooting does not mean the work is over. Now the ship must survive what the battle did to it. Damage is inspected. Holes are repaired. Lines are replaced. Water is cleared. Guns are secured. The wounded are treated. Everything thrown into chaos must become a functioning vessel again. Because the ocean does not care that you have just fought a battle. The wind does not stop. The waves do not stop. Night is still coming. Hours later, the gun deck begins changing again. The cannons are secured. Equipment is moved. The room slowly becomes familiar. Then the hammocks return. Your battlefield becomes your bedroom. You climb into the same narrow hanging bed you left that morning. The cannon is still beside you. The timber above is scarred. The air still smells of smoke. And some hammocks that were occupied yesterday may now be empty. Tomorrow, if the ship survives, the routine begins again. This is what really happened inside an 18th-century warship. Not constant heroic battles. Most of the time, it was labor. Crowding, discipline, hunger, disease, waiting, and then sometimes without warning, the entire floating world transformed into a weapon. From the outside, these ships looked magnificent. Inside, hundreds of people lived inside a dark, moving wooden machine filled with rope, iron, powder, and almost no personal space. And every night after all of it, you could find yourself sleeping exactly where you had been fighting only hours before.